Hello, everyone, and welcome to Soul Stain Inc. My name is Beth, and I am here with a quick reading update and what I'm going to be reading this week for middle grade May. So, I have been reading The Mystery of the Locked Rooms by Lindsay Curry. Finished this up this morning. I listened to the last little bit on audio. My daughter had to go in to the doctor over the weekend and have some x-rays done, and she started reading this and I had to steal it back from her, but I ended up getting it on audio and reading the last like 60 pages on via audio because my week has been so crazy and it's only Tuesday. So I did enjoy this. I like her middle grade thriller ghost story situations a little bit better. I gave this a soft 4 stars. Uh, as always, her friendships are really well written, and I love that they're real people and they're growing both individually and their friendship is growing and changing just even throughout. This was a story that took place over just a couple of days, and even throughout that amount of time, there was growth and changing, and I really enjoyed that aspect. This is also a locked room mystery, but it's a locked room mystery in the fact that they are in an escape house. So, like, there's escape rooms, but there's multiples of them that this trio of friends is going through for a really good reason. And we got to the end, and I was like, that is most definitely not no. If that is how we're leaving it, it's going to drop a star. Like, no. And she didn't do that to me. And I'm not going to tell you anything other than that, but I'm so glad that she did not do what it seemed like she was going to do with it. But anyway, a little bit about the book is that Sarah Green wants nothing more than to spend 7th grade beating the hardest escape rooms alongside her best friends, West and Hannah, but then a foreclosure notice ends up on her front door, and her family thinks they're going to have to move away until they can get back on their feet. Um, and there's a local legend that 3 identical brothers had rigged up this house with a treasure at the end of it, and then it never opened. And so all this stuff's back from like the 1950s, and the kids decide to see if they can win. Again, this is great, and it also has a character with chronic fatigue syndrome that they talk about, and like they explain what it is and how it works, and I thought that was handled really, really well. Um, but again, if she had just stopped at the end of the story and not done the epilogue, I was gonna drop it to a soft 3 stars. She didn't though. I also finished listening to A Discovery of Witches and loved it. Gave it a solid 4. It's like almost a 5, and I'm not sure what could have been done to make it a 5, but it was a solid like 4.8. I just didn't round it up because it wasn't a solid 5. So I gave it a 4 on Goodreads, but it is like a solid 4.8 in my eyes. And normally, like the second or third book, I am just like, this is 5 stars. So hopefully that's the next one in the All Souls series. You're probably going to be like, oh, wow, she won't shut up about it. And Fiona and I are intending to read those together sometime soon as well. I think there's another one coming out soon. Maybe there's only 2 and the third one's coming out, or maybe there's 3 and the fourth one's coming out. I don't know. I just got into this fandom, but I did enjoy it. That's an adult book, though, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. I'm also rereading Alice in Wonderland because Elena and I are listening to it together on audio. And she has agreed to, come on and talk to me or talk with me to you. She's going to be part of a video about Alice in Wonderland when we finish it, because Alice in Wonderland is one of 2 middle grade books that my Classic Children's Literature Book Club have picked to read for the month of May. And when I say we picked to read, I mean, put my hand in the little jar and pulled out 2 pieces of paper. And that is the first one. The second one is Treasure Island. So we will also be reading that one this month when we get done with Alice in Wonderland. This is the third time I'm reading Alice in Wonderland this month. I love the book, but it's a little much. Okay, it's a little much. That's all I'm saying. I'm about done with it. However, we do have fairly good opinions about who it was written for and what the themes are. So I'm really looking forward to talk to you guys about that. Now, I am currently listening to, on my own, an Audible original called My Crazy Inheritance, Book 1, and it's Ghost Sitter, I believe. It's set up like a podcast, like short story podcast episode situations, but it's all together in like an audiobook. And it's about 14-year-old Tom, who has inherited a ghost train that goes around with the circus. He's inherited that from his great uncle that he didn't really know. And it actually is a ghost train. There's a ghost, a zombie, a vampire, a mummy, and a werewolf that he will be traveling around with this ride. He has to travel for, I think, 4 years. And when he turns 18, if the ride is still active, is still going, he's taking good care of it, then he will inherit like 10 million and some odd dollars. And it's pretty funny. I'm enjoying it so far. I'll let you know more about that when I actually finish it, but I do know there's at least 2 of these audio books because I have both of them and they're Audible originals. So like I said, I'll let you know more when I get done with this first one, but I am enjoying it so far. Then I have 3 physical books that I am hoping to read on this week. I don't know how much I'm going to get done. My weekend was crazy. This week's going to be crazy. But these are the next 3 books that I want to grab. This one is for, I'm sure one of Storm's prompts will cover it. I Will Find You by Daphne Benedis Grab. And this is about 3 friends who last saw one of their classmates before he disappeared on the field trip. They're on the 7th grade field trip. He's supposed to be the 4th in their group, but they're 3 friends, and Nikki is just the school bully. But then he disappears, and they're the last ones who saw him. And so they are going to investigate and try to find their classmate. Next, I've got this one. This goes with my prompt about like getting outside and going on a hike. It's called Just Keep Walking by Erin Soderbergh Downing. And this follows Jo. Jo's parents divorced 2 years ago. And she's determined to prove that she and her mother can survive on their own. And so she and her mother go on the Superior Hiking Trail, which is a trail that her father took her brother on. And he was supposed to take her, but has not. So she and her mom are going to do this trail. So it's going to be an adventure, survivor, and bonding story all in one. And then finally, I've got What'll I Do Without You by Michelle Schusterman. And this is about the penguins who live on Penguin Island. They're separated by the mainland by a narrow strip of land that is revealed during low tide. Some foxes find the low tide land strip and are coming over to try to eat the penguins. And so a 12-year-old girl named Addie and her sheepdog, Max, are attempting to protect the penguins. And I'm really looking forward to that. So I'm hoping these 3 books are going to help me this week because like I said, Elena had to go in and have x-rays this weekend. She was practicing push starts for her like cross country. She runs cross country, track, things like that. And she was practicing her push starts. Some boys have been bullying her at school and she hasn't really been practicing hard or really trying to work out or put her heart into it for the last several weeks. And I finally got her to talk to me about it. We figured it out. And she was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to practice. So she went in the backyard and promptly turned her ankle in a hole, and her whole foot went like up, and the bottom of her foot touched the inside of her leg. She heard a loud pop and felt a big pop and yelled But I was in the house getting her little sister ready for bed, and so I like went and poked my head out, thought that she was yelling at the dog. Poked my head out, she's laying on a swing. I said, "Hey, are you good?" And she goes, "I'm fine. I'll be in a minute. It's starting to get dark." And I was like, "Cool beans." I go put her sister to bed. About an hour later, kid's asleep. I poke my head in to ask Elena if she wants to watch an episode of one of our shows together. And she says, "Yeah." So I go sit down, and she comes down the hallway just very slowly, but I figure she's stopped to pet a cat or something. She gets, out parallel. She's about 4 or 5 feet away from me, and I can tell that she is balanced up on her toes on her right foot. And she goes, "Hey, Mom." And I'm like, "Why is your ankle swollen?" Because I'm about half blind, but I can clearly see that her ankle is too big and it looks like there's some bruising. I'm like, "What'd you do? Why is your ankle swollen?" And she's like, "Oh, I turned it over. Can I get some Tylenol?" And I was like, "Yeah." So I went and got her some Tylenol and an ice pack or whatever. She thinks that she's just twisted her ankle, and if she puts it up, puts some ice on it, takes some Tylenol, she'll be good to go on Monday for athletics. Um, I did not wake the kid up and take them to the ER or anything. I watched a couple of episodes of our show, got her to bed, kept checking on her periodically because she said she couldn't really feel her toes. And she's like, "No, I can feel my toes. It was just swelling." Cool. Sunday morning, my child cannot feel her toes. The swelling's gone down, but there's banding of bruising under the ankle, around the back of the foot, across the top of the foot, and she can't feel her toes. Luckily, my best friend felt bad for me because it was Mother's Day, and I'm a single mom. My kids didn't remember. The little one is 4; she doesn't know it's Mother's Day. The big one didn't remember it was Mother's Day and is hurt and has to go to the doctor. And my parents tacked on Happy Mother's Day as like a sarcastic thing at the end of, "Oh, okay, well, we won't see you at church then. Happy Mother's Day," when I told them I was taking my child to the doctor. So we went to the walk-in clinic. My best friend drove about 2.5 miles, 2.5 miles, 2.5 hours, and took me out to lunch. Took me and the girls out to lunch while we waited on the walk-in clinic to open. And then she took the 4-year-old for almost 5 hours and wandered around, like went to Walmart and then like Tractor Supply and a boot store and a clothing store, back to Walmart. Like it was raining, so they couldn't go to the park. So they just bopped around, and apparently they were entertaining everyone because they're entertaining. And, we get to the clinic, and it took an hour to get called back. The nurse looks, and honestly, she bops the like big bright light on, and we're looking, and I realize the bottom of my daughter's foot is also purple. Like, I don't know if I have anything that'll really, no, I don't have, well, maybe, no. I think the closest might be this purpley pink hair, right? Like it's kind of purpley pink and blue, the whole bottom of her foot. I traumatized the poor nurse because I was like, "Hey, she heard a big pop when her foot turned over and she can't feel her toes. Did she tell you that?" And the nurse was like, "No, she didn't." I was like, "Well, it's true." And she goes, "Can you feel that? Can you feel that?" And Elena's like, "No, no, I can't." And I walked over and bopped her. And Elena goes, "Mother, just because I can't feel it doesn't mean it's polite for you to thump me." And I was like, I just had to show the nurse what was going on. My bad. The nurse was all traumatized. She was like, "It was great." Anyway, another hour and a half later, before the x-ray tech could come in because there was trauma in the ER. And then they were like, I think it might just be a super bad sprain. However, this section over here looks like it's cracked off. So put her in a boot. She's making fun of me because I never learned how to use crutches. So it's a good thing they put her in a boot instead of in crutches because I wouldn't be able to teach her. She's not wrong, but it was rude. Um, she was like, "Remember when you were trying to learn crutches and Dad was trying to teach you and he just kept having to move you back to your chair because you were falling over on him?" I was like, "Oh, you remember when you had a dad?" And she was like, "Yeah, good times." You still don't know how to use crutches, though. The poor nurse was like, it was hilarious. Um, we we cope with things very differently than most people. But yeah, so they sent us home with her in a boot and a referral to an orthopedic doctor who called me today, and we're taking her in tomorrow. They were like, "We had a cancellation, and we want to see her at 3 o'clock tomorrow." So I'm taking a half day off school tomorrow, taking her to the ortho. And this is the last week of school. So tomorrow's Wednesday. I'm taking a half day off. So I'll go in the morning, get anybody like very last minute um, presentations, papers turned in, whatever, so I can get grades in. Leave at noon, pick her up, take her to the doctor. On Thursday, we already have a half day. Thursday morning is um, awards, kindergarten graduation, all that. Then we get out at 12:30. Eighth grade graduation is at like 6 or 7 or something. I don't know. So I have to stay on that end because I live an hour and a half away from where I teach. So I got to stay over there with my parents for the afternoon, get the girls, take them. Then we'll come home. Then I have in service on Friday um, to sign final papers or something because like I'm already moved out of my classroom and everything. Like I've got like 3 things left to carry to my car and then I'm done. Can hand them the key. Um, and then high school graduation Friday night, and then I am done for the summer and until I can find a job. But like I said, super busy week, doctor's appointments. Elena's supposed to be going to the amusement park for attendance uh, field trip on Thursday, so we'll see how that works out. But at least one of these will be in my bag over the next few days as I attempt to not freak out and spiral with everything that's happening. And I will let you guys know what's going on. They're pretty sure she's at least torn a bunch of ligaments. Um, and they don't really think that the doctor who looked and said there's no fractures was 100% correct. So they're going to be re-looking at the x-rays as well, just in case. So yeah, we will update you guys on that probably this weekend when she's here. And I've had a chance to breathe, but you know, my final grades came in from my PhD courses. I made B's in both, uh, but that's fine. My Shakespeare professor was like, you had great ideas and your writing is amazing, but you need more evidence. You really need to beef the supporting stuff up. And I'm like, that's definitely where I knew I needed help. So I feel you. I made an 86 on that paper, and she's like the most difficult grader I've ever had in my life. So I feel proud of it, but also I can't be making a bunch of B's. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I've got 3 weeks until my summer course starts. So let's get some books out of the way, right? All right, guys, that's all I've got for you today. Thanks for sticking around if you stuck around for that whole story time. I will talk to you again soon with updates on my reading and my injury prone kid. Until then, please stay safe out there, guys. It's a doozy. Bye.